Are you feeling the Buckaroo Blues? Because I definitely am feeling the Buckaroo Blues. We are about a week and a half removed from the event, and I'm definitely feeling sad. Fulfilled, but some part of me that feels sad that I just wish that we were back on this incredible venue, Ponderosa Ranch with Dutchman Creek events and in the middle of Montana and just watching you run laps. And I would be lying if I said that I didn't have dreams. The other night I actually woke up in the middle of the night still thinking that we were in the middle of the race still, that Pavlo and Zach were still running and that I needed to get back down to the crew corral to get the next lap started. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I caught myself essentially, what would be sleepwalking is what they call it, sleepwalking into my kitchen. And I was like, man, what am I doing here? So nonetheless, that's where I'm still at with this event. I'm still digesting it. I definitely felt the after effects of being tired. I was running off of a couple hours of sleep every single day for about 3 to 4 days in a row, but that's just the responsibilities of a race director. And from the bottom of my heart, this event was something super special to me. And I know that carried that message is being felt, or that energy rather is being felt across people who were part of this, whether you were watching from afar on social media, whether you were a crew member, or whether you were an active participant in running. I really do feel like the event was a success when it comes to the wholefulness, like how whole that the event was, and how powerful that it was. And so the event could have not been made possible without the individuals involved, meaning the runners, the crew, the staff, the people who allowed us to even use their property, Gary, Sherry, like all these incredible individuals that contributed for us to even have this event. And then that's the start of it. And then the second aspect is who arrives, who shows up, and then how do those people treat the opportunity. And with all that being said, I don't even know if it could have been made better for our first year. Now, I will get into the adjustments, the changes, some of the stories and the things that I want to change for next year. Of course, there's so many things that popped up that I want to adjust, but I definitely just wanted to start this off by addressing all of the great things that happened. So, number one, if you are a competitor watching this video, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. A year ago, I had just entered the running space, and you're like, why does a guy with like very minimal running experience put on an event? Well, I have a deep history of competitiveness in my past. I was a wrestler most of my life. I ended up going in wrestling Division I at Arizona State, and competition and the energy around competition is just something that's deep rooted in my blood. And then in the past, I've hosted bodybuilding shows, I've hosted powerlifting competitions, I've hosted jiu-jitsu meets, things of that nature. And so I've always valued putting on events and creating a platform for people, for individuals to be able to express themselves, whatever that medium is for them. And I feel that I found a winning formula, not because of profitability, and we'll talk about some of the finances and things like that, sponsorships moving forward, but not even profitability, because that was definitely not the case in this situation for our first year. It was how good I felt as an individual putting this event on, knowing that it was doing something greater than myself. Like the event in and of itself was essentially a platform for somebody to express themselves through. And I know that there were so many stories that I haven't heard, people's lives being changed, and the amount of gratitude that individuals have for the event, not for me, because that's how I'm seeking, but for the event in and of itself, it's just truly unbound. And that in and of itself, for me, is the most important thing of putting on an event like this. And so if you are a runner, thank you so much for showing up, for being there, for taking the time out of your lives. Most people are busy. Some of you have kids, families, took time off of work to come out there to go compete. And whatever outcome that what it was that you walked away with, I trust that it delivered exactly what you required. Before the race started, I said, don't go home with more in the tank. Don't go home knowing that you could have emptied the tank more. And I truly believe that most individuals that participated in the race followed through on that and absolutely delivered. And sometimes that message on the backside of that is humility. Sometimes it's surrender. Sometimes it's courage. Sometimes it's something greater than the result. Sometimes people go into these races and competitions with the result. Obviously, you want to win it or place, or you want to run a specific number of miles. But sometimes the best message or the best result is actually not a result that's truly tangible on paper that can be marked down on a clipboard, but one that can be felt inside your heart, your soul, and your spirit. That in and of itself is the greatest winning opportunity that anybody has. And I feel that there were so many people who walked away from this event with just that in their heart, their soul, their spirit. And to me, that is everything. And that to me inspires me to want to continue to put on events like this because that's my whole goal. I am not going to be an elite ultra runner. It's not my goal in life. That's not what I wish to be. I feel that I'm best suited of creating platforms, opportunities for people to express themselves through. And I've said this like 4 times now up to this point. And if you are a pro ultra runner or an elite ultra runner, that's great. But if you're not, I also want to create an atmosphere where when people join and take part of what we do, that they feel that they are one. There's very few events on a small scale of like what we've done that's outside of the professional sector, that's backed by corporate entities and backed by big brands and things of that nature, that brought the same feel, that we provided. And to me, that was what I wanted. We were like a small brand, but we had over 500,000 views over the weekend and none of our posts went viral. That means that there was a lot of organic viewership because of all of you, the people who were participating in the event. The second note is I want to give a shout out to all of the crew. You guys were phenomenal. This is probably, out of all the other things that went on, when runners were done, I will say there wasn't a speck of trash anywhere. And that to me is, I put on many events. Let me just tell you this. And there's typically trash all over the place. This might have been the most respectful community that I've ever been part of. And even the landowner, Gary, that gave us a privilege to host this event, said the same thing. And those are the little things that are going to allow us to come back year after year after year. And it sets the precedent moving forward. And so like out of many things, out of how great the event was and how Pablo and Zach battled it out towards the end and how 5 people made it over 100 miles and all these different things, out of all those things, the crew and the people that were participating in the event, they respected the property, and you left with essentially no trace, which was awesome. Like many events say, please don't leave a trace, like no trace left behind, but you all followed through on that. And to me, I couldn't ask for anything more. So let me recap a couple things, and then I'm going to share some updates. I don't want to make this super long, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Recapping the event from start to finish. We headed into this event obviously never putting on a running event. And I do feel for what it was, it flowed very well. There's a lot of things that I want to change. I'm going to address those here shortly. But nonetheless, is from the start to the finish, I do feel for the most part that things were ran fairly smooth. The competitors, you all dealt with heat, the hottest day during the summer. And it was just so happened to be the day of race day. And many of you were able to battle through that. That in and of itself created a challenge maybe that you have been exposed to or it's something that you're familiar with. Nonetheless, we saw individuals really battle through that day of heat, and it was an exciting, inspiring thing to see. On the other side of things, on the procedural side of things, there's a few things that I want to change and adjust for next year. A couple things that we're going to change is markings on the course during the nighttime. Obviously, reflective markings, maybe having some glow sticks. That's something that should have been done this first year, and moving into next year will 100% be a top of priority for us, is to have the course well marked when it comes to the nighttime illumination or nighttime navigation. The next thing is going to be adding not aid stations, but staffing tents in 2 different viewpoints of the course. There's a couple reasons for this. This event's going to grow, number 1. Number 2, I gave a lot of faith and trust that their people weren't cheating. And I don't think there was any cheating that happened, which to me, that filled my heart up. Like just knowing that I trusted everybody there and that cheating wasn't going on, meaning, running across the field and doing that. I heard nothing of that. And I hope that that continues to be the case moving forward, but you just never know as these things do get larger in size. So we are going to add two different tents in different aspects. A couple reasons why. Number one is going to be safety, is because we will have somebody counting the number of runners that go through each station, and then when we are missing a runner at the end of the hour, we are able to essentially pinpoint where that runner is going to be located. And so the time for us to get there or staff to get to you is going to be completely, the gap is going to be closed down, and it's going to be expedited comparatively to what we had going on this year. Now, we only had really 2 instances, but we were lucky and fortunate that we were able to get there fairly quickly and that nobody got truly injured or truly hurt, that's something that was long-term detrimental. So we got very lucky in that sort of sense. We did have a emergency protocol and a safety protocol in mind. There's a few things I want to adjust this next year, but having those 2 aid stations, number one is accounting for anybody who is cheating, and number two, ensuring runner safety. And so we will have those tents not manned with extra aid, but they'll be with staff. So if somebody's hurt, injured, somebody can't continue anymore, we'll be able to pinpoint that individual very quickly. So we did the markings at nighttime. We're going to be adding the staff. The next thing is going to be crew corral setup. Crew corral setup this last year, I was a bit more unorganized and unstructured than I'd like to be. Next year, I'm going to be very, very strict on 10 by 10s. Now, I don't think anybody really abused that privilege, but we're going to be essentially tripling the size, the competitor base from this year to next year. And so in order for us to do that efficiently and not lose the wholeness and the intimacy of the race, and for us like this, for it to be like felt like a corporate thing, is we're going to all have to be on the same page when it comes to crew corral setup. So 10 by 10 spots, we'll have them marked off. Another addition to that is for people that are going to be unsupported, we are going to be doing a reserved tent for those types of people. Now, it's going to come with a cost, a small cost, maybe call it $100 or something of that nature, where you have a spot where you have access to a lawn chair and some amenities. And I'm going to get as much volunteers as I can to help crew through the weekend for people who are unsupported, that want to go under a tent, that don't want to haul in tents, or they're flying in, they don't want to purchase things. That's a lot of moving parts. And so we want to accommodate for those types of people. So we will have a tent with a very small number of reserved spots. So if that's something that you want to take part in next year and you don't have a crew, these are going to be for people who don't have a crew, because I can't put a tent up and then have 5 people per runner. It's going to pack those places out. So this could be people who are unsupported, no crew, just themselves coming out, participating. We'll make arrangements and adjustments for that. So the crew corral setup next year is going to be a lot more structured. That's something that's very important to me, because I want to ensure flow, efficiency, and runner safety and accountability when it comes to who's on course and who is not on course. The last thing I will say in terms about the flow and procedural part of the race, next year, we're going to be a lot more... on our end, I didn't communicate this enough, is when people DNF, we have to have more individuals come to the start and let us know that they're not going to continue, or the crew come to the start. So there's a lot of figuring out sometimes, and that came from not having placements at the different aid stations. So let's just say there was a runner unaccounted for, but they were accounted for to aid station 1 and aid station 2, but we didn't see them come through towards the very end. We either know that they're on course or they're somewhere in the course corral, that they just are quitting, and they're sitting in their chair, and they're not answering the bell. And so those are things on our end that we will 100% take responsibility for, but I do also have to communicate that more next year, so individuals know that they need to come let us know that they are done running the race, or your crew needs to let us know that you are done running the race. That's super important for all things considered. Moving into the last thing here is going to be expansion, what to expect for next year, what I'm most excited about, etc. Obviously, this year was a completely bootstrapped year. I want to give big shout out to our sponsors. Fueled Supplements, they supplied the $10,000 check that went to Zachary Sayer. Incredible effort by Zach and Pavlo. Obviously, for Zach to get to the point where he was able to run 163 miles, you had to have Pavlo push him there. You have to have 2 people to make this race, and we had the perfect dynamic of 2 individuals. Pavlo, knowing him, has this beautiful heart. He's this quality guy, but he's a Ukrainian man. He's got like this sinister character. It's like Rocky Balboa, fighting the Russian almost. And then you have Zach, who I respectfully call the Bob Ross of running, who was very much different in terms of like his flow and approach of things. I mean, dude was eating cheese and drinking pickle juice and just out there free flowing through it. And then I've never seen somebody have such a systemized approach to the running and backyard ultra as Pavlo. So it's really cool to see dynamic between these two. And both of them respectfully were able to bring each other to their absolute limits. And it's cool to be able to see that and the respect that those two had towards one another. And what a privilege and honor it was for me to be able to watch this in real time. And I said it from the beginning, these types of races only take two people to bring it into the deep waters. And I couldn't be more fulfilled as a race director hosting this event to how the finish ended up and the two individuals that took this into the deep waters of the event. And I'm excited to see how much further somebody can go next year and the year after and the year after. And I'm super excited for that. And so with that being said, we had 41 runners to the line this year. Next year, it's going to be open to 100 to 150 runners. Now, why 150 runners? I'm probably going to have a wait list on 100 runners. There's a lot of people that dropped out last minute, and there's a lot of cancellations, things of that nature. It's just the nature of the beast. So we had over 60 some people sign up for this event. 19 didn't actually show up to the starting line. So that's a large number of people that essentially signed up, didn't show up, or they were supposed to be there, right? And so I want to ensure that we actually stack the starting line as much as we possibly can, give the people that want to be there the biggest opportunity. We didn't hit our running cap this year of 100 runners. That's why it was open all the way till race day. But just know with the popularity and the exposure that we've had leading today. I mean, we didn't have much exposure going into the event, but now that we have the event and we're going to give out a lot more, we're going to be promoting a lot more deliverables post-race. We're going to have a documentary coming out, things of that nature. You're going to see a lot more of the content coming out within this next 1, 2, 3, 5 weeks and so on and so forth. And so the popularity of this event is going to pick back up. And so the number of people that are going to want to participate is going to increase. So if you have competed in the event, you are invited back next year. And then if you compete next year, you'll be invited back the next year at the next and the next and the next. With that, you actually, for every year that we do this, you're going to be grandfathered in at the same price every single year. Okay. So next year, we're probably going to increase the price just slightly. I don't like to price gouge people, but we severely underprice this event. And so I don't know, maybe jumps up 25 or $30, something like that. So, but if you all are participating next year and you get signed up, you will have the same price. The pioneering price is what I'll call it for the following years that you compete, which is something that I want to share and give back to you all because you're the ones who put on the event. I mean, I put on the event, we structured it, we hosted it, but without you all, we wouldn't have been able, without the competitors, there's a zero event. So moving into 2027 and beyond, we will be increasing the number of runners. Thus, the reason that we're going to be increasing the number of staff. Staff is going to greatly be enhanced. Medical staff, all that good stuff. We'll be adding in the tent setup that I had mentioned. We'll be having a better aid station, fuel station that is a little bit more optimal for people to be able to use during the race. Although this is a self-supported race, we want to ensure that those amenities are going to be provided in a much more fluent manner than they were this last year. These are learning things for us. And then moving into the next years, I've talked about this on our Instagram page. Collaboration and community is super important. So if you work with a run club or you are a run club leader or you're part of something, run a community, get the word out. That's how this thing grows. Get the word out. We completely bootstrap this thing. Our sponsor is Field Supplements, who supply the $10,000 check. You need to check them out. Field Supplements, my dad owns a brand. I used to be the vice president of that company. They have phenomenal product line, recovery, proteins, pre-workouts, hydration, creatines. Their protein's incredible. Anything you can think of, they have a product for you. Then we have Total Nutrition and Tanning, which was a business that was owned by my dad, who then Jake Deschner purchased that business. That's in Great Falls. It's a brick and mortar store. They supplied a nice contribution, as well as Tailor Your Credit by Angela Gary. You have TNC Pump, Tyler Christians from Helena. You have the Air National Guard, Montana Air National Guard, which is a major contributor to our race. What a phenomenal opportunity is to get them involved. I hope that next year we're able to get them involved with some runners. I think that would be pretty dang cool to have some of the Montana Air National Guard, have some people participating in the event. Of course, Buffalo Joe's Eatery and Saloon, they had the food truck there. I had the lobster Whew, boy, was that solid. So the amenities and the access to things will only get better next year. Element, they gave all those drinks and the Element drinks. So many people to thank and name. EOS Energy, you guys probably had seen the energy drinks, or you guys drank one throughout the event. I mean, I'm going to continue to have these event sponsors as long as they would like to come back. Can't with the towels, can't or just can't, was a good friend of mine, or is a good friend of mine. Ivan Lundy, you can see, mad grateful. Man, I mean, I just, the more I'm talking, the more that these names and the people that are involved are coming to mind. And once again, it takes a community, it takes a group effort for all this to happen. And so next year, if you have connections to brands, sponsorships, run clubs, ways that you can spread the word organically, I want to continue to grow this event, maintain the same level of intimacy, and keep the ethos that we had this first year, but grow into next year. And for all the runners, I appreciate you. For the crew, the staff, the people that were involved, and of course, the landowner, Gary at Ponderosa Ranch, who gave us the opportunity when everybody else essentially outpriced this opportunity for us to put this on. Gary believed in us, and I couldn't be more grateful for Gary and the amenities that he provided, the amount of help that he gave that he didn't have to. I couldn't have been more blessed to be able to work and partner with somebody and host this race. And it took an army, and my cup is so full, and I'm so motivated and inspired to continue to deliver on the same premise that this event was built on, because we are going to be hosting more races. So stay tuned for that. Got something cooking for Phoenix, maybe January. And then, of course, we'll be back in June in Montana, Clancy, and excited for that. So with that being said, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, stay up to date with everything that we have popping, and support our local sponsors. I'll have them, or support our sponsors. I'll have them in the description below. And I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'm excited for next year. Thank you, guys.